Hi, this is Remembering the Past with Corey Franklin, the show where we talk about people who've died recently who've had a profound effect on our history, our society, or our culture. And in keeping with our tradition of honoring Medal of Honor winners, tonight we're going to talk about Corporal Rodolfo Rudy Hernandez, who died recently at the age of 82. Rudy Hernandez was awarded the Medal of Honor on April 12, 1952 by President Truman in the Rose Garden for his valor during the Korean War. Let's review a little bit about the Korean War. It started in 1950 when Joseph Stalin, flushed with success of developing the atomic bomb, encouraged the Communist Army of the North to invade the southern half of the peninsula. This prompted a response from the United Nations, and the United Nations put together a protective force for the South, which was led primarily by the United States. This was the first time the United Nations had acted as a military force. Despite the United States Army presence, the Communists pushed deep into the South and threatened to overrun the entire peninsula. When in September of 1950, General Douglas MacArthur launched an amphibious assault at Incheon, a daring but dangerous encirclement maneuver that was ultimately successful and resulted in the encirclement of the North Korean army. Having essentially defeated the North Koreans, MacArthur pressed his advantage and drove his troops deep into the heart of the North Korean side of the peninsula, threatening Communist China. This brought the Chinese Communist Army into the war against the UN and United States forces, and they drove the United States forces back towards South Korea, towards Seoul. For the next 2.5 years, the war was essentially a bloody stalemate with advances and retreats on both sides until a truce was established at the 38th parallel, establishing the formal countries of North and South Korea as they are today. Corporal Hernandez's valor occurred in 1951 during the back and forth between the Communist Chinese troops and the American forces, and here Corporal Hernandez describes what he did.
I was born in Colton, California, San Bernardino County, and my parents were migrant workers. I was 17 years old, and it's kind of hard to get a job. I enlisted in the Army because I could send home money.
At the Ashiya Air Base in Japan during the Battle for Seoul, the 187th Airborne Regiment arrives from the United States. Ammunition and other supplies are loaded on unit vehicles which will be flown to Korea.
And I was assigned to the 187th Airborne Regional Combat Team. There was a lot of pride being in the airborne, and I was feeling like Superman, walking with my BAR, that's a Browning automatic rifle. I was 10 feet tall on May 31st, 1951 was when it happened.
On May 31st, 1951, Corporal Rudy Hernandez was part of a company assigned to defend a hill outside the small Korean town of Wonton-ni. An overwhelming force of enemy troops had stormed the position in a fanatical fury, raining artillery, mortar, and machine gun fire down on Hernandez's under-equipped platoon.
At that time, I was firing my weapon, and my buddy was firing, and my platoon leader said, "Withdraw." Yeah, and I didn't want to withdraw. I couldn't fire no more because of a ruptured cartridge. I had 6 grenades in, and I threw all 6. At that time, I was wounded. My head, a artillery shrapnel. I think no doctor was going to repair me, so I might as well go out all the way. I put my bayonet in my rifle, and I said, "Here I come!" I killed one with the bayonet, and the second one got me here, but he didn't go very far. He just took my teeth out. Yeah, all I know is I, I killed six uh, before falling unconscious. I was 30 days unconscious from that ordeal.
Hernandez's actions stalled the enemy advance, giving his unit the opportunity to regroup and retake the position. Separated from his unit during the chaos, Hernandez was found the next morning barely alive amidst the bodies of the enemy he had dispatched.
I heard it through one of my buddies that they put me in a body bag and they thought I was dead. And later, they can come around and they saw my hand moving, and this guy's not dead.
In addition to his other wounds, shrapnel from the artillery shell had torn away part of Hernandez's brain, leaving him mute and immobile for months. After a grueling recovery, he was informed that he would receive the Medal of Honor.
There was a colonel, which came around my house in Fresno, California, and he had some piece of important paper, and I didn't pay much attention to it until he left, uh, uh, and I discovered I was going to get the Medal of Honor. President Truman, he said, I'd rather have this medal than be president of the United States. I was quite amazed. I wear it because of my friends who died. I did it in gladness because it's an honor and a privilege to serve our country.
Here is how the Medal of Honor website describes Corporal Hernandez's actions in May of 1951. Corporal Hernandez, a member of Company G, distinguished himself by conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity above and beyond the call of duty in action against the enemy. His platoon, in defensive positions on Hill 420, came under ruthless attack by a numerically superior and fanatical hostile force, accompanied by heavy artillery, mortar, and machine gun fire, which inflicted numerous casualties on the platoon. His comrades were forced to withdraw due to lack of ammunition, but Corporal Hernandez, although wounded in an exchange of grenades, continued to deliver deadly fire into the ranks of the onrushing assailants until a ruptured cartridge rendered his rifle inoperative. Immediately leaving his position, Corporal Hernandez rushed the enemy armed only with rifle and bayonet. Fearlessly engaging the foe, he killed 6 of the enemy before falling unconscious from grenade, bayonet, and bullet wounds. But his heroic action momentarily halted the enemy advance and enabled his unit to counterattack and retake the lost ground. The indomitable fighting spirit, outstanding courage, and tenacious devotion to duty clearly demonstrated by Corporal Hernandez reflect the highest credit upon himself, the infantry, and the United States Army.
It's a great honor for us who wear the Medal of Honor, and a privilege to wear the medal. I would do it all over again with more gusto. I wasn't I wasn't there for the medal. Uh, I was there for my uh, fight to keep our country free.
Well, Corporal Hernandez, we appreciate your efforts to keep our country free. I'm going to close on that note. I want to thank my producer, Sid Tepps. Like all those who came before you and all those who come after you, Corporal Hernandez, we cannot repay the debt we owe you. Thank you so much.